In today's video, I will be walking you through the office setup, the studio. I'm excited about this because it's taken me a long time to get this set up to this point. I think I've learned a couple things that might be useful for you in your sim rig or your setup or just your office in general. A lot has changed since my first couple videos when I was showing off the setup I had. I had a Next Level Racing, I believe it was a Challenger. This is perfect in terms of the hobby, sim racing. It's perfect for me. Something to do in the winter, especially when it's not so nice out and you can't really work on cars. Let me walk you through it. I've come up with some solutions to some problems and I think you'll enjoy the video. So without further ado, I will show you around the studio. So starting off here, we obviously have the front side of the rig. I will show you briefly kind of the storage situation going on here. I've got this drawer here. I use it for camera gear. It's a little hard to see. It's because I have all the lights looking fancy in this room, but it doesn't really matter. Essentially, it's just nice to have that. I have another cabinet, not cabinet. Man, I'm lost for words. This is storage bin. This area isn't meant to be on camera, but it's worth showing. Always have storage. This folding chair, while I'm on this side, I might as well show it off now. I have an Instagram post because you get an extended warranty for it if you post on Instagram. So I did that. If you really want to see, check that out. I'll turn on the normal lights just so you can see a little bit better. So what we're looking at is obviously, like I said, the front of the rig. The main things that I'm really proud of here is this fan. Now, obviously it's just a Honeywell fan or whatever, but it is connected to a smart plug, which I can say, turn on office fan. I think that's super cool. I've seen other people do it other ways where they have tubes running and everything. However, this is just the most practical. So that we have the fill light up here, which beams my face. It gets bright and frankly hot in here, but I've got 10 pounds. Holding it down is just dumbbells with Velcro. That's a lot of weight to be hanging that far forward. So yeah. That's my clever thing. The second clever thing has got to be this power supply. This is for my camera. It just Velcros. Velcro is amazing. If you don't use Velcro on your rig, you're missing out. I'll show you some of the other Velcro things I've done. Beyond that fan and the smart plugs and some lights and stuff, I also have, a pedal light. That was primarily because I had that camera there. For the pedals, that was supposed to be for the live stream. Didn't ultimately really work. I don't even have a load cell. That there is just the SRP light. It is, strictly speaking, just a rubber bushing and then a spring. This is an old grip, Gorilla Grip or something. If you have something that you can figure out how to make it work, then make it work. That is that side of the room. I will get to the rig in a minute, but I want to show off my handiwork here. The elephant in the room, I'm sure, is this clock. It doesn't even work. It just looks cool. I had it working with some lights earlier. No, it's not worth it. It's probably a fire hazard, so it's unplugged, but it's a very cool clock. Beyond that, you got a bulletin board. Everyone needs one of those. For anyone who's been around for a while on the channel, you'll remember that. To address the actual elephant in the room, this is what I call the smart mirror. This was a college project of mine. Beyond obviously just being a display with as a mirror, you could also work out in front of it. We had a YouTube API and some other stuff going on. There's a touchpad, which does work, okay? It's cool. It's cool in the background. I want to get chat up on here when I'm live. I've had that working with various levels of success because it is running on a Raspberry Pi. This has got to be my favorite wall of this whole entire room. It looks amazing. I also have to report that this eBay handbrake unfortunately has failed. No surprise there. It had like metal dust falling everywhere. This guy here, section, okay, you can't see it, but it was rubbing back and forth. It wasn't smooth, and then it eventually made a divot here, so it would go clunk, clunk, and that's what you get for spending, I don't know, 30 bucks. Also, anyone who's been subscribed for long enough will remember the nitrous and the SS gauge cluster. If I turn off the lights, you can really see why I enjoy this corner of the room. that's about the angle. I think that's awesome. So next up, the PC, where I spend the most amount of time. Ignoring how smudgy my screens are, I'm really happy with this. So the arm mount there is just cheap Amazon arms for your desk. It doesn't have to be anything fancy if you don't have super heavy, like, you know, Samsung Odyssey monitors. I don't know why I waited so long to buy those. Definitely recommend for the price. I've got this nice little LED bar, that's where my camera goes. Webcam, that was the pedal cam. Notice the Quest in the background. I did record a video last night. My microphone wasn't on, so I have to record that again. The Stream Deck has changed my life in a lot of great ways. How you can move windows around. You'll notice another Stream Deck hanging out there, and we'll get to that in a minute. That is a great little setup for not a whole lot of money. Back to the desk though. First of all, this power strip here and data strip for USB it's amazing, very useful. Wireless charger, that's also a Samsung Smart Hub, so there's like a button I can press. I haven't really found a use for it other than wireless charger and then to connect all the other smart things on the app. I just have some Logitech speakers. There's a subwoofer back there if you haven't noticed. It sounds good. It's not anything fancy, but it does the job. Usually I just turn that around when I'm driving and I just put it back. Or, you know, I have the headphones on, by the way, SteelSeries. In case you were curious, of course, this is a standing desk. This is probably a good time to add that this whole entire setup has taken me years. I'm grateful for it. Like this TV here, I bought before I even graduated high school. This PC and PC case, same deal. Same with this monitor. This desk was when I started college. You know, the most recent things are really the rig, and I think now is a good time to go over it. Okay, editor future me, I kind of realized I don't, after this segment here, go over the actual rig. So I'm gonna do that for you now because that's kind of an important part that I really shouldn't miss. So what we have in front of us here is the Track Racer TR80 Lite. Obviously I decked it out with stickers. You know, everything is figure outable. Good to keep in mind. So the rig itself, this was, I believe, the cheapest Track Racer rig. I could be wrong. This is the GT bucket seat. You can tell my cat likes it quite a lot. It's held up pretty good though. I've had it for months now. I don't have an exact number, but so the TR80 Lite comes with a pretty chunky base plate. Ignoring the dust, if you don't mind, you can see it's got quite a lot of mounting spots. Now with the Mraz pedals, I didn't have an issue at all. It was a little jank down on this side, I believe. Up here, it was no problem at all mounting those. It's very adjustable. It took me a while, so I'll save you some time figuring out the setup. But basically here, it was eventually better, I realized, to have the base plate higher. And then also for this end, you could have it higher, theoretically. It's gonna depend on your pedals. But for me, this is quite good. Now, in terms of adjustability and where you should have your feet at, and your butt and your legs and everything, it might take a little bit of trial and error, but there are definitely some places you can go online with like diagrams that show you the outline of how you should actually, you know, mold your body, because you might not realize if you don't have a rig like this, if you have one like my older one, like I mentioned earlier, you know, ergonomics are very important. And if you have this set up wrong, this angle here, you can actually damage your knee. You don't want to do that because you're not even driving a real car. So is it worth it? Is the damage worth it? I don't think so. Ergonomics, very adjustable. It takes a little bit of time, but you only really need one Allen key. And that one Allen key is, you know, it's provided. Setup-wise, it did take me, I would say probably 4 or 5 hours in the living room. You can get caster wheels, and if you're gonna move it, I would recommend it because I had to drag it. And that was not fun. The other thing worth mentioning about the rig is that you should actually have your base plate here for your wheelbase. You should have it at a slight angle. Now I was watching Twitch. I was watching a guy race like GR86 or something, and I asked him, like, you know, what angle do you want this at? And I believe he said 15 degrees. Now everyone in the comments pop off. Give us your best advice. This is just what I've found to work for me, and you can see the angle there. Way more comfortable, and also bring it closer. You want your arms to be, you don't want your arms overextended. You want them close to a 90, give or take. I had previously been driving like this, and it's a world of difference when you drive like this. The other aspect in terms of posture to keep in mind is when you're braking and when you're driving, you want your shoulders to be in this crook. It's just very important that you have correct posture, and moving forward as you drive different cars or even the same car over and over, having a stationary posture which is comfortable and not going to damage your body, like I was saying with your knees, for example, you'll find time in that. Even if you don't if you had no idea what trail braking is, you'll find time with correct posture. And I don't think I'm crazy for saying that. Before we go back in time, or at least I go back in time, you will go forward in time. It's worth mentioning this. This is the Next Level Racing TV stand. I really appreciate the fact that this exists because it's mobile. You know, if you don't crowd it up with wires like I did, you could theoretically just use it as a TV stand. You could obviously go to the website and order extruded aluminum mounts that come up, and they look fancy, probably heavy, but this is great. There's some flexibility here. The Next Level Racing TV stand came in clutch for the setup. That is a more granular, detailed overview of the actual rig, which for some reason I just forgot. So I'll send you back to the video. So first of all, if you've watched a previous video, you understand this is the Moza R5 base and ES wheel along with the SRP light pedals. They've served me well. I do have down here the Formula Mod. The only problem is if you start to race anything like Mazda's, you know, like the MX-5 Cup, this really is not as realistic. If you really start to mess up, you overcorrect or something, this will first of all probably hurt. Not probably, it has hurt in the past. And then also, it's just not as forgiving as a normal wheel. So I'll go ahead and put that back. It is a little wonky sometimes it disconnects, but there was an update I just got yesterday. I'll also go over our controls here. So the Logitech wireless keyboard, whatever, with the little mouse pad. You can throw this, you can abuse it, it doesn't matter. It will keep working, so highly recommend. Now you may notice it is hanging. It's suspended with Velcro. I had a recent Velcro craze. On the same Velcro tangent here, I've got some gloves. People seem to agree that these aren't the best. These are the Fast Goose. They're cheap, I believe, because I bought them and I'm cheap. So there's that. Something that might not be totally apparent to you right now, but if we get closer, should be, is in fact the cable management for VR. This I did today. We will see how well it works, and we'll report back to you probably in the next video. So this kind of runs up that way. You can see me wiggle the cable. It runs around, and then on this side, you can see I just kind of wrapped it up so that the slack is taken care of, because you need that extra bit of slack for your head. Over by the desk, I have this here. This is just like a Type-C extension. It runs to, I don't have a C port on my PC, but there is a VR USB port, because it is a standing desk. You don't want to forget cables and then go up and then hear cracks and have a bad day. How long, Whiskey, have you been listening? Everything is set up and ready for iRacing or VR or whichever, whatever. Live streaming, chat in the background, a spot for the camera. It is a good moment to mention the USB Shure. I think this is the M7, 7M. It's not the fancy one. So now, my proudest, most recent innovation is this little guy right here. This is obviously, first of all, upside down, but it is the Stream Deck Mini. So I have a small rig arm clamp, which is just clamped to the aluminum profile here. You can see I can kind of grab it there, and that's where it's gripping. These things are very strong. They're not the cheapest things in the world, but for the quality, it's very impressive. I would recommend it if you have to hang anything like that fill light, or even just the small little thing here. Now what's so great about this is that because it's so tiny, I have a cell phone clamp actually holding it upside down just because of the shape of it. And then everything else is just, you know, it's screen buttons, right? So you got your turn signals. I guess if you like Shitoku Revival or that sort of thing, maybe with your friends, that could be really cool. Other than that, you know, you got all these like next screen. You can, like I said, you can really change this however you want game stream, game personal, that's for when I'm streaming. That's my little button box. It used to be over here. It's better here. I like to say that I also have a radio with Alexa. So my rig has AC, or wind. It has music. I have a button box. I don't like using the formula wheel anymore. I do want, because you can remove this. I would like to get another wheel. It's kind of pointless to get the formula mod and then switch back and forth, because you gotta remove all those screws there, those 6 screws in the middle. Not really worth it. So yeah, that is a tour of the new office setup. I'll make a dedicated video to this. It'll be brief, but I think more people need to know about how easy it is to get a little arm, phone holder, and Stream Deck Mini, and you're ready to race. So there you go. That is the updated 2024, mid-2024 studio setup. I'm sure it'll change probably next month, and the month after, and the month after that, because that's what I do when I'm not editing or shooting videos or doing other things which are important in life. And I also think the more that I mess around with the rig and Velcro and cheap things here or there, I can probably find a lot of ways to help save other people either money or time, hopefully both. If you found this video useful, please share it with a friend who's also into sim racing. I know there's a certain amount of you, or a lot of you, who did in fact subscribe because of VR content, and I am looking to make more of that, especially now that I have that cable set up. If you want to watch me race, go ahead and check out my last couple iRacing videos. I have been in the Mazda MX-5 Global Cup series as of late, and I actually just got out of rookies in terms of sports cars, so that's exciting. If you made it this far, I appreciate you a lot. I'll see you in another video.